For well over the last 10 years, we have had a select group of pioneering, trailblazing model builders who have shared with us their expertise and skill here on YouTube. They are the first generation of builders to do so. On Thursday, July the 4th, we lost one of our first generation YouTube content creating model builders. Boyd Crompton had been suffering from cancer and lost that battle after contracting pneumonia. Many of you have shared with me how influential Boyd has been in getting you into the hobby or getting you back into hobby. You've shared how much you have valued the skills he freely shared with our community. For me, Boyd has a special connection to this channel. I was watching his live stream one night and he asked if anybody had a YouTube channel. I shared mine and he told everybody to go check it out and to subscribe. His shout out got this channel well above that first 100 subscriber count, and I will always be grateful because at that time I was struggling to find my audience, and many of you who are watching this today may have found me because of that shout out. He was generous. He was generous with his time, with his knowledge, and with, for me, sharing my channel. Thank you, Boyd. Thank you for teaching and sharing with us. Your legacy will be remembered. Hey there everyone, my name's Andrew, and this is Canadian Starships. Let's continue building the 650 scale Enterprise D. Welcome back to Canadian Starships and our 650 scale Enterprise D build series. In the last update, we got the secondary hull up on the post, and in this update, we're going to be doing kind of a potpourri of things. We're going to start by filling in a bunch of windows on the saucer section using Solarez, and then we're going to move on to looking at some of the lighting, and then we'll see where we go from there. So let's get right at it. But before we get started, why not take a moment and click the subscribe button, and while you're here, click on that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. First thing we're going to do this update is deal with getting windows filled in. Now, there are exactly 911 windows plus the dome for the bridge on just this one top saucer part. So we have a lot of windows we need to fill in. So this is going to be the process. I'm going to walk you through it here, just what we are going to do. And I will demonstrate on, let's say, this bank of windows right here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to tape the front of these windows. Now, I've been told that there is a special UV tape that you can get that works better. I'm using 3M magic tape. And all right, that means that this is the section of window that we're going to be looking at. And the first thing I'm going to do, I've had this little bottle sitting in some hot water, and this little bottle has Solarez inside, doming Solarez. And we're going to take this, it's nice and hot. We've got a very nice applicator point on here, which is going to be able to fit into our windows. I'm going to put this in, and I'm going to fill very gradually the window with Solarez. Now we've got Solarez flowing out of here. I have not yet been able to get this completely bubble free, but I'll show you what I'm going to do to deal with that. All right, so that is filled. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a light directly underneath so that I can see if there are any bubbles. And I can quite clearly see that there are some bubbles in there. So I'm going to take just a piece of very thin magnet wire, and I'm going to coax the bubbles out. There we go. What we want to try to avoid is getting bubbles on the exterior surface. We will get some that, like, there will be some that I miss, but the goal is to get as many of those out as possible while the Solarez is still liquid. Now I'm going to take my Solarez UV flashlight and I'm going to shine the UV light on the windows. I tend to hold them on for about 10 seconds. That's probably more than you actually need for it to pretty much instantly cure the resin. And now for good measure, I like to put the light on the outside for a few seconds just to make sure that it is fully cured all the way through. Then when you're done all those stages, it's time to pull the tape off. Once you pull the tape off, you get some nice filled in windows. Now I have to reproduce that 911 times just on this top saucer alone. Here's an overview look of all of the windows filled in. Well, I say all, but most of the windows actually. All of the narrow, long windows all the way around are filled in, and these windows up on deck 3 are filled in. I'm not really sure if they're windows or not, but they are lighted on the studio model. The only ones I don't have filled in are the ones on the leading edge of deck 3 and the ones all around the edge of deck 2. Now, the reason why I haven't done those yet is because these were all being done on live stream and I didn't want to deal with this curve on camera. Also, if I just tilt this way, hopefully you might be able to see that. It's a little darker when I do that, but the conference room windows are still not filled in, and I'm not sure what I want to do about that yet. I do have an insert part so that you can kind of see in and see the conference room, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to fill those windows in with anything that's optically clear enough to make it worth putting those parts in because they are so small. We also have the dome to deal with, but I've done some testing with the doming resin, and if I don't worry about putting the bridge piece in, we're just going to use some doming resin to create the dome on top. There's also these slats here, and they are open on this kit, but they actually should just be closed off. They're not windows where light is coming through, so we'll probably just put a piece of styrene on the back of that to fill that in. And yeah, so all of these windows are good to go. I've got to move on to doing windows on the secondary hull. That's going to be a lot more of an issue, especially on the neck part, because getting the clear into those spaces is going to be a challenge. And here's a little bit more of an up-close look at how those windows turned out. Might be hard to see on camera just how they look because it's clear and it's dark inside those windows, but they are looking quite nice. I could, let's see if I can do this, pick it up and put it up to the light, and that might be a little easier to see. You can really tell the difference between the windows that have the clear inside and the ones there that don't. And it's important that those windows are slightly frosted or diffused so that you can't see the individual light sources inside the ship. So I've got a bit of a test run going on with some 50/50 LED strips, which are just temporarily hot melt glued underneath the phaser array, and we are running Mr. Danny's phaser array effect, which I've just imported in from the Enterprise E-Sketch, and it's looking pretty good. Now, I think that there's going to need to be some diffusion happening along the strip. In person, you can really see the individual LEDs. This would be worse, by the way, if I was doing it the way that Helios intended, with the 5mm holes really spaced out. You would really see those individual LEDs. But on camera, at least right now, this is looking really nice and really smooth. And I think with a little bit of diffusion, this will be perfect once that phaser array cover piece goes on and is painted with the light coat of gray. Give me a moment, I'll flip this over so you can see what's going on the inside. And here's the inside. So you can see this is a 5050 LED strip, super high density. It is just temporarily tacked in on its side, and this is how the phaser effect is being done. Because they are so tightly packed in there, once there's the proper amount of diffusion in place, it will look really, really smooth. Now, I can't remember how many openings there are on the kit when you first get it, but definitely not 132, because this is 132 LEDs to make it look really nice and smooth here. Now that we've got windows well underway on the saucer section, we need to start drawing our attention to the secondary hull. In the last update we did this, we got the secondary hull up on the post. Now this is one of the two, and I will probably approach the other one a little bit differently. I may use the replacement metal post, not metal post, but metal plate in the other two. That way you get to see both methods. But we need to start getting this ready to deal with windows, which means the inside has to be light blocked. It is the first opportunity in quite some time to be outside without burning up in the heat today. So I'm going to get this thing outside and get at least some black light block paint down. We'll see how well that cures up if I can get the white reflective or refracting coat on also. And then once that's fully cured up, dried, we will attempt to fill those crazy windows on the secondary hull. So I'm going to get this outside and get some paint down. I'm preparing the lower secondary hull part here for light block paint on the inside, and I just wanted to show you what I'm doing here because it's really important that certain areas are masked off when you're doing this light blocking work. You want to have bare surfaces of the actual kit when you're adhesiving them together, when you're gluing them together, so that you get a really good bond. So any area that's going to be making contact with the other piece needs to be masked. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm masking this connection point here, the connection point in the front where the bottom of the dish will attach to the bottom section. I'm making sure that these areas that connect in with the pylons is clear of paint. I'm also blocking the top of this because this is where the armature that goes up to the saucer is going to attach, and we want to make sure that everything in this area here is free of paint. Also, it's nice just to keep the area where the post goes in clear of paint as well. So I'm going to finish getting this taped off because I'm just going to put some along the edge and wrap it around the bottom, protect the bottom from some overspray, and we will get some black paint on this. Quick look while we're outside, not bothering to bring this into the shop for a proper video clip. The black is on, looks good. It's time to put some of the white on. Masking off the upper section of the secondary hull is a little bit different. Again, we want to make sure that we are masking all of the joint areas, all the connection points all along, but I'm going to have to paint this from two separate directions. We're going to have to paint this from this side to get all of this, but I'm also going to have to paint it from the top of the neck, and that's going to have to be done in two stages. But for now, I've got this masked off with paper so that I don't get overspray on the neck. Now, I don't have to mask everything off. You can see that there are sections here that are not masked off, but this will allow me to paint this portion of the secondary hull inside without getting overspray on the good side. Here's the upper secondary hull with some black coat on the inside, and it's turned out really well. I was actually able to get paint a fair way up the neck from this side. There is some area in there, as you can see, that still needs some paint. That'll happen from the other side, and I was able to get the underside, or actually the top side of that deflector dish fairly well. So I'm happy with that. This may need a second coat. Once it's all cured, the black, it'll get its white coat, and then we will have these parts ready to go for window installation. And with the black on the inside of the secondary hull from the bottom section, I've got the top masked off, and you can see how the paper's on the back to protect it. Kind of looks a little funny, but it works. And so we're going to get the last of the black in on the top section. It's too bad that I couldn't put the white in while everything was set up to get it in from the secondary hull down here, but that is the way it is. We'll have to go through the process twice over to get the two different colors of paint on. So I'm going to spray black in here, let that cure up, and then we're going to be working on the white. The top portion of the secondary hull is sitting outside curing right now, but the bottom section here has its light block and white coat on the inside. It's looking pretty good. I've pulled all the tape and you can see how nice the plastic spacer here is, the area where the deflector will attach the pads over here that are going to connect into the pylon section and the resin block inside along with the posts. They've all been kept clear of paint. That's really good. Now I want to show you something because it's been mail call and I just received in the mail these. These are brass etch photo etch parts which were made by Hagen Miller. You may be familiar with that name from some of the Facebook groups. He has just recently completed his 650 scale Enterprise E, and he also has one of these 650D kits from Helios. And there are no photo etch parts for the main impulse engine, so he went ahead and made them. He's learned how to do the photo etch process and has made these parts, and was very kind enough to send me a couple for my builds. So this will really add something nice to that main impulse engine. I realized in editing that with the green matte and yellow lines behind it, it was really hard to see the really nice photo etch parts. So here they are, just taped to some white paper, and you can get a really good look at how these have turned out. And they look really good. They're going to look really good on the kit. I can't wait to try them out. So here's the secondary hull, fully light blocked with the white coat on. This is the lower section. This is the upper section. And just in case you missed it, the upper section has the deflector dish installed. And there's the inside of the neck. So the next job to do on these parts is to fill all these windows, and getting all these windows in here filled, well, that's going to be a task and a half. But there's one more thing I need to do on this part before we get there. So I've got several sources of photographs for the studio model of the Enterprise D as it appeared in Generations. This first picture is from the Christie's auction, and you can clearly see these round porthole type windows, presumably, that are here. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 along here. Then there are 3 groups of 2 with an extra one along this line. None of those appear in the kit, and I'm pretty sure that this round one over here doesn't appear either. So we definitely need to add those. I've got a few more images of these sections, and these photographs have been provided to me by Todd at Marvel PHX on YouTube. So you go check that out. He sent me these photographs so that I can make some more reference, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side, 3 groups of 2, and I think in one of these other images you can see that there is one here, but the single one is missing here, and that group of 2 vertical windows is missing here as well. So lots of opportunity to see what's just kind of going on with these parts. So we want to make sure that these get added to the kit. Now, one of the advantages I have as far as sizing is that I can check the windows here on either side of the docking port to find the exact size of bit I'm going to need to drill these ones, because they're all the same size. It's kind of interesting. I think on the Generations version there are several areas where they didn't pull all the masks, or they pulled masks and then painted another coat over top. This was all done in clear fiberglass, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I know the parts were clear on the 6-foot studio model, and they masked all these windows, essentially the same way that many of us do it with some of these other clear kits. But clearly, they forgot to pull these ones, so that's kind of interesting to see. The first step in the process is to make sure that I'm going to be able to get these windows level. So I've taken a very thinly cut piece of blue 3M painter's tape, and I have used the other windows either side of the docking port as my reference, and I will both mark those and then drill through the tape to create those portholes, and that should give me a very level run of those circular windows. Here's the next step. You can see that those windows have been drawn on. Now I've got to say, Helios was not exactly representative of the kit when they figured out where windows would go. They seem to have taken a fair bit of creative license here, so I had to use my best guesstimation lining up to various different points of the ship to figure out where exactly these windows should go. So I'm going to start to work on getting these drilled out. And first section of the round windows, or whatever they are, installed there. Not quite so sure I'm happy with the alignment on this one. We'll have to see. Might fill the one in and redo it. Not sure about that yet. Next, I need to do the ones along here. That's going to be a little trick here because it's on this curved line. So I'm probably going to make use of these windows as some reference. Back to the studio model photographs here for a moment. I was about to work on getting these windows drilled in. However, I want them to line up very nicely with the Aztec pattern just as these are, and that's not going to be something that I can drill right now with any precision. So what I'm going to do is wait until after the kit is painted, and then I will go back through and I will drill these, and they're small enough that I can fill those in with microcrystal clear after everything is done. So I'm going to leave these ones for now, and I will deal with those once the kit has been painted. Now, these windows here are not on the ship. They won't also get any light from the inside because they're too close to the deflector dish, the way that it is mounted there on the inside. So these, unfortunately, are just going to be off windows, and they are going to literally just be painted black underneath with some masks put over top. And so they'll literally just be black windows. You'll really be able to tell that those are black and not just with lights off, but that's what we're going to need to do on these windows. And that's going to be it for this update on the 650 scale Enterprise D projects. I hope that you've enjoyed this update. I didn't quite get to all of the lighting stuff I wanted to get to, but I'm really excited by the way that those phaser arrays are going to look inside the ship. It's definitely a successful proof of concept, and we've got the secondary hull ready to do window filling. So if you've enjoyed this update, make sure that you hit that like button. If you're new to my channel or you haven't done so yet, why not hit that subscribe button today? You'll make me very happy if you do. But for now, my name is Andrew, and this is Canadian Starships. Have a great day, everyone.